So you started paying taxes in a foreign country and you want to know if you can claim a foreign tax credit on your U.S. income tax return.
Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up.
This generally applies to U.S. citizens and residents who have to file tax returns in the United States regardless of where they live on their worldwide income. And if you live in another country and you pay tax there, you get a credit for it in the United States. And I want to make this video to go over when can you get a credit and when can you not take the credit. And I want to make it kind of an overview that goes into great detail. So I don't want it to be too confusing, but that's it. So I have a simple example we're going to go over. A U.S. citizen is living and working in the United States for a foreign corporation. The foreign corporation withholds taxes from the pay of the U.S. citizen. Can the U.S. citizen claim a foreign tax credit? So let's first look at how it would be done. It would be done on Form 1116, the foreign tax credit form. And the mechanics of this form are quite simple. You pick what the category of income it is. We're not even going to go into that. You enter the name of the country. You enter the gross income from sources within countries shown above and the type of income. So let's say it's earned income. And he'd be a resident of, what would be USA. But the income has to be from that country. So let's do it here. Let's do Brazil is here. And then the income is $1 million. There's certain deductions, expenses directly related to the income, pro rata itemized deductions, but it's generally not that big. If it's just a salary income, it's going to be basically the same thing. So let's say down here, it's $1 million, again, of foreign source income. That's what you would need. Again, we have to determine if the wages earned while living in the U.S. are actually foreign source income, and we're going to go to the code for that, but I'm going to show how the mechanics of the form work. We get the foreign source income, we get the taxes paid, we add up all the taxes paid, and then down here we take a proportion of the U.S. source income divided by the foreign source income, and that's the proportion of foreign tax credit you can receive. You can't receive a foreign tax credit for your U.S. source income, only for your foreign source portion of income. That's the form. The issue now is really, what is foreign source income? Well, let's go to the code. Code section 861, income from sources within the United States. So U.S. source income. So the following items of gross income shall be treated as income from sources within the United States and U.S. source income. We have interest, we have dividends, and bam, personal services. Compensation for labor or personal services performed in the United States, except that compensation for labor or personal services performed in the United States shall not be deemed income for the United States if. So everything is U.S. source income unless these things. The labor or services are performed by a non-resident alien temporarily present in the United States for a period that not exceeds 90 days. So if it's a temporary work that you're only here for less than 90 days, and again, it's a non-resident alien individual. This wouldn't apply to a citizen or resident or green card holder. So this is a non-resident alien individual, so that doesn't apply. Compensation does not exceed $3,000, does not apply. The compensation is for labor or services performed as an employee or under contract with a non-resident alien foreign corporation not engaged in a trade or business with the United States. And again, that is the question here. If you want to say, and this is what it comes down to, in my specific example, I just made a video about when a foreign corporation is, whether or not it is engaged in a trade or business in the United States. If the position is that it's not, and the compensation is for services performed as an employee under this company, then maybe it's not U.S. source. It's really interesting how it's worded here. Except when you look into this by example, having an employee, a foreign corporation having an employee in the U.S. would be doing trade or business in the United States. So therefore, it would not be. It would be U.S. source income. So it gets pretty confusing. It's the Internal Revenue Code. Or 3, an individual who is a citizen or resident alien, if such labor or services are performed for an office or place of business maintained in a foreign country or in that possession of the United States by such individual. So an individual performing services outside of the U.S. That's very clear, and that's I don't know why it has to be written in such a convoluted way, but services performed outside of the U.S. are not U.S. source income, maintained in a foreign country or possession. In addition, compensation for labor services performed in the United States shall not be deemed to be income from sources within the United States if the labor or services are performed by a non-resident alien individual in connection with the individual's temporary presence, like in a foreign vessel engaged in transportation. So this is it. This is the key right here. So it says compensate. Let's go back to the beginning. Personal services, compensation for labor or services performed in the United States. Performed in the United States, except compensation for labor or services performed in the United States shall not be deemed to be income if. So everything is U.S. source income except for these things down here. And then we get into this. And compensation. Oh, wait, okay. So, but this is an and. Okay, so this is where I got messed up. So such compensation does not exceed $3,000, and the compensation is for labor services performed as an employee under contract with this. So even if you're employed as the compensation is for services as an employee with a foreign corporation not engaged in the United States, if you get paid more than $3,000, it would still be U.S. source income. So the only way for it not to be U.S. source income is basically if you're barely ever here and you make less than $3,000. So if you make more than $3,000 and you're not, and you live in the United States, it reads here to be U.S. source income. Okay, let's go into let's go into the regulations for this. Let's see if we can get there from here. IRC Regulations for Code Section 861. I just use it from Cornell. So these are the regulations. So the regulations are the code expanded, right? So income from source in the United States. Let's go back down here. Okay. Categories of income in subchapter N. Determine the source of income for purposes of the income tax. These sections explicitly allocate certain important sources of income to the United States or to areas outside the United States with respect to the income. Okay. The statute provides the following three categories of income: within the United States, without, and then partly within and partly without. Okay, so specified in section 861A plus gross income, 863, and that's where you're in 861A. So I want to go to 861C. Compensation for labor or personal services performed wholly within the United States. So generally, compensation for labor or personal services performed wholly within the United States is gross income from sources within the United States. And then when we go to the instructions for the form 1116, we can go to the instructions here. So every tax form has its own instructions, and we want to know gross income from sources within the country shown above, and it has to be enter the name of the foreign country or U.S. possession. So we're going to the sourcing of the income. Income from sources outside the United States. Foreign source income generally includes, but is not limited to, compensation performed outside the United States. Okay, so that says it there again. And here, it really has to be, it says gross income from sources within the country above. So if it wasn't performed there, it's not Brazilian source income, it's still U.S. source income because the services are performed in the U.S. for the taxpayer. And per the instructions on this form, 1116, a foreign tax credit wouldn't be allowed in the United States on this income if it was all earned in the United States. And then we go to the code sections and the regulations, and it also supports that. So it's kind of a standard concept, but then we have to go into the code to really reinforce it and make sure it's right. So generally, compensation for labor personal services performed wholly within the United States is gross income. And again, they have the exceptions here. If it's performed by a non-resident not exceeding 90 days, or the amount it does not exceed $3,000 and it was performed by under a foreign corporation not engaged or trade or business, then that would also mean it could be foreign source income, but this doesn't apply in our situation. And then this is really it. This is it. An individual who is a citizen or resident of the United States, if such labor or services are performed for an office or place of business maintained in a foreign country or in the possession of the United States by such individual, partnership, or corporation, then it would be earned without the United States, and that would be foreign source income. Okay, so if we jump back to the example, a U.S. citizen living and working in the United States for foreign corp, the foreign corporation withholds taxes from the pay of the U.S. citizen. Can the U.S. citizen claim a foreign tax credit? Per the law, there would be no foreign source income by which to claim a foreign tax credit. It could be deducted on the tax return, but the deduction is only limited to $10,000, and it's not a dollar for dollar credit. It's much less advantageous. So in this situation, I think it would be best to try and find a better solution, or to have really, I don't think the U.S. citizen should be paying taxes in the foreign country, Brazil in this example. But that's really where we're at. So I hope this video was helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I'm happy to elaborate, go into more detail, or answer any specific questions and make more videos about this topics, because most of my videos are for non-residents. Okay, so thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful.